If you want to be coached by someone that podiumed at the first ever MX Bikes LAN event, then click the Discord link in the description below, follow the steps on screen to book a one-on-one session with me now. Anyway, enjoy the video. Are you tired of your MX Bikes gameplay looking like a slideshow? Do frame drops constantly ruin your perfect lap? Well, this video is going to be your ultimate guide to unlocking a buttery smooth performance. We're going to dive deep into hidden settings, advanced optimizations that will have your MX Bikes running at its absolute peak, guaranteeing maximum FPS and an unbeatable riding experience. If you want to use the best models in the game, click the VJR Model Discord link in the description and use code CLUBMEX20% to get 20% off when you make a ticket. Let's get back to the video. So first things I would do if I'm trying to get more FPS on MX Bikes is I would head over to my NVIDIA control panel. If you're obviously AMD or anything else, and I do apologise, it might be the same concept, but I've only got NVIDIA, so I only know how to do NVIDIA. But like I said, it might be the same concept. You might have a control panel, like AMD control panel, for example. But yeah, open up the NVIDIA control panel here. It will bring you to this screen. If you're not already on Manage 3D Settings, click Manage 3D Settings. Global Settings is for every game, basically your PC in general. This is all settings for pretty much every game that you play. However, if you just want to sort out your MX Bikes, click Program Settings here. I believe I already have it. No, I do not. If you click Add here, and then the easiest way that I do it is A to Z. Scroll down to the bottom, basically. Don't know why I ping back up to the top there. Look for M. Look for your MX Bikes. Add selected program. And then it'll bring you to all of this, basically. And this is how you change everything. If you've got blurry edges or if it's too high, basically, you can lower this or turn it off. And if you scroll down here, obviously power management kind of thing, you basically prefer maximum performance essentially. And then same thing here, you've got texture filtering. I've got it on quality just because obviously when it comes to videos, I want the videos to be a decent quality. However, if you literally are only wanting high performance, again, you can click high performance down here. And then there are some other settings as well. Same here, OpenGL GDI, you can put this to prefer performance as well. You can put a frame rate cap off if you wanted to for like a VSync type of effect, but you don't really need it, to be honest. The game doesn't really need to have VSync on. But yeah, like I said, if you want just maximum performance, scroll through all of these settings, change them around a little bit, put everything to high performance so you can put to high performance, and yeah, just see if that improves your FPS. This is what I run to give me obviously more FPS, so it definitely will help you. And then just come over to apply at the bottom right here, click apply. It will take maybe 5 seconds or so, and then, you know, it will sort of flash the screen, and then you're all good to go. Next thing I'm going to show you is how to uncap your FPS. Now, I want to say this does not give you more FPS. However, MX Bikes is capped at 166 FPS. It doesn't really go any higher than that. But if you are wanting more, if you feel like 166 isn't enough, if you've got like a top range PC, then you can obviously put it up. But yeah, if you want to go to where your game is downloaded, so Steam Download, Steam Apps, Common, MX Bikes, and you have a core.ini here. I feel like most people probably know how to do this, but if you do Shift Enter twice, then you would type in bracket, frame rate, bracket, underneath that, cap equals 0. Then you click File, Save, and then when you load the game up, you'll be on uncapped FPS. I'm not going to do it because I don't need to, if that makes sense. I don't need more than 166. I've played on 166 for years. If you lower it or higher it, it might feel a bit different because there'll be less input delay or it'll feel smoother type of thing. So yeah, all you have to do, click File, click Save, and then when you next load at the game, you'll be on like 500-600 FPS or however much your game runs. And yeah, that will give you more FPS, but it doesn't fix your FPS. It doesn't give you more, just lets it uncap essentially. So the next thing is basically the obvious stuff, I guess you could say, is the in-game graphics. So resolution, this is all dependent on your monitor. If you've got a 2K monitor, then you can play the game in 2K. Obviously 1080p will increase your FPS, so if you've got a 2K monitor and you're struggling with FPS, maybe lower this at 1080p and see if that improves your FPS. It should make a difference. Refresh rate and bits, or again, just very dependent on your monitor stuff. Hertz isn't going to do much for FPS. It will just obviously change how smooth it runs essentially. So you could always try and lower this if you want to, but if your monitor is like a 240 Hertz monitor, lowering it to 180 isn't really going to help you too much. Anti-aliasing is if you want, like, if you've got like all the jaggedy lines and stuff like that. It's not too bad on the game in general, so I have it off. And then texture size high. If your game is freezing or stuttering when people are joining lobbies, keep this on high. If you lower this, it'll freeze when people join the lobby. So I don't know if you have that issue or you're trying to figure out what the issue was, but it is your texture size. Make sure it's on high so it doesn't, it doesn't freeze when people join the lobby. Filtering, I have this on bilinear. This is the lowest setting it will go. Again, will increase your FPS. And anisotropic filtering, it's just called anisotropic here. But I've got this on 2x. This is basically 3D objects, how good and texturized 3D objects look. I've got it on 2, which is a decent mid-ground. Isn't too high, isn't too low. But obviously you can whack it up to 16x if you want to, but that will obviously take some FPS away. So you can always put it to 1, but 2 is kind of the mid-ground where the game looks fine, but also FPS isn't terrible. Dynamic shadows obviously will take FPS as well. Reflections and shaders are probably the main culprit. Shaders are the main culprit of low FPS in this game. If you are really struggling, make sure you have shaders off. And same with 3D grass. You do not want 3D grass on unless your PC can handle it. But again, if you're here looking for FPS, 3D grass, you definitely want that off. And the exact same with track screens. I don't know if you've seen, for example, Assen on this game. They have the big screens in the corner. If you have track screens on, that is basically a big replay mode that is playing in the background of your game the entire time. So you want track screens off. Draw distance, model detail, and terrain. Not massive on FPS. I have it low when I'm playing. If I'm taking screenshots, I'll whack that up to high. But like I said, it isn't a massive difference. As you can see, all I run here is shaders and reflections. Everything else is off and everything else is on low. And as you can see here, the game looks a-okay. It doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look blurry. It doesn't look all jaggedy lines and edges. So you don't have to have the game maxed out settings for the game to look good. Shaders is probably the main thing to make your game look somewhat good. But, like I said, if you're struggling for FPS, this is the main culprit. Turn these off and your FPS will go up a lot. Another thing as well that you can change is if you obviously open up Windows, type in graphics settings. And then I have MX Bikes in my list already, but if you just type in MX Bikes or add desktop app, you can add an app. I have it in there already. I have MX Bikes. Okay, here we go. And then you can click this GPU performance or preference, sorry, and you can do high performance. Sometimes it will be on power saving or let Windows decide, but you want it on high performance. That will give your game high performance. As you can see, I do this to literally every single game I have on my PC is always on high performance. Even Among Us, I have it on high performance. Or, I mean, it's not let Windows decide, but it's gone to high performance, which is good. But yeah, pretty much any game I play, I put it on high performance, and it just makes it run smoother, essentially. And then another thing that you can do is open up your PC control panel, so this, then come over to hardware and sound, power settings, and then as you can see here, I've got this on high performance, favors performance but may use more energy, which is fine. But yeah, you want it on a high performance essentially. You can change this, change plan settings, you can basically turn the screen off, that's just all personal preference. But you want this on a high performance. It most likely will be on balance because I believe it will just begin on the recommended. But yeah, if you put this over to high performance, this will help your power be more efficient for performance. And it will again make the game run a lot smoother and it will give it a more consistent FPS as well. Well, that is all the tips I have in this video. Hopefully your FPS will improve and hopefully you have a better gaming experience on this lovely game, MX Bikes. Hope you guys did enjoy. Appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Peace.